Would you start stocking the Marriott irons, please?
Yeah, no kidding. Mine poured water all over me last night. Anyway, so just a little bit about Reliable first. So we are a Canadian company. We're third generation family owned, been around since 1955, and we started off in the industrial sewing world. So where we're located in Toronto used to be the apparel manufacturing, I don't want to say capital, but it was definitely a hub for North America. Before that, all shipped overseas. So when that happened, we had to switch gears a little bit. We looked at who our customers were, and a lot of them were in the apparel manufacturing industry or in the alteration shops, and we wanted to continue to serve our customers. So we moved in. The natural progression was to move into steam and get them things like professional irons, and ironing tables, and vacuum tables, and garment steamers, and cloth cutters, and all that kind of stuff. And we still do the sewing machines as well. So that's a little bit about our company, and now I'm going to talk to you about some iron. So who here has ever heard of our Velocity 270 IR? All right, a few people, awesome. So our Velocity irons, he'll be here all day. Our Velocity irons are made differently than any other iron you've ever used before, unless, of course, you've used the Velocity. There's a few reasons for that. So a traditional iron, the way it works is it will have a little steam trigger that you know, or a button that you know you push for your steam, and the sole plate will get super duper hot. And then when you pull that trigger, it's going to spray water onto the sole plate. The heat from the sole plate is what evaporates it into water. A few problems with that. Number one, if you spray too much, the sole plate will cool down to the temperature where it cannot evaporate anymore, and you end up with spitting or leaking. Another problem is typically the water is sprayed here, and that area of the sole plate will cool down more than the rest of the sole plate. So the rest will heat up to compensate, and then you end up with hot spots, which can cause damage to your fabric, whether through burn or shine or anything like that. So good news is with our Velocity irons, those two things are impossible. This iron will never, ever leak, and it will have an even sole plate temperature all the way throughout. It will also allow you to have a lower sole plate temperature that's safe for all fabrics. So you can use it without the risk of burn or shine, but you still get the steam you need to remove the wrinkles. Because it's not heat that removes wrinkles, it's steam. Steam is what actually penetrates the fabric and relaxes the fibers, and that's how you smooth it out. Some other cool things with this iron, it has an anodized aluminum sole plate. So it's not a coating, we've actually fused the ceramic into the heating element. So try as you might, you cannot scratch this sole plate. So if you're going over any zippers or buttons or pins, anything like that, you don't have to worry about it. And even if you're doing iron-ons and you get something stuck to the sole plate, you can feel free to give it a nice scrub and you're not going to damage your iron. So you can clean it off that way. Also, I need to say again, I mentioned I'm Canadian, so I had to come all the way down here to Texas to get a penny because we don't have pennies anymore. So thank you for that.
No, you can take it with you. So
I haven't had pennies for years. You can take it with me as a souvenir. Yeah, there you go. I think my wife would appreciate that as a gift.
There you go.
Some other cool things. Alrighty. Some other cool things with this iron. It has a sense. You notice there's no trigger or button for the steam. It has a sensor steam handle. So as soon as I touch this handle, it'll start to steam. You can probably see better if I do like that. And then as soon as I let go, it stops. So you get rid of any finger fatigue. You're not constantly pulling the trigger and tiring out your finger over time. You can use it as a dry iron if you just tap the steam button. Then it won't steam. But again, in most cases, you're going to want to use steam. This iron has 8 different temperature settings specific to the fabric that you're going to be ironing. So you just turn it to whatever respective number. Again, the lower ones are safe for all fabrics, and then they get into the more stubborn fabrics as you move up, whether it's linens or denims, or you're just really trying to press out a stubborn crease. This iron is, like I said, has 8 temperature settings. We also have a version of 240 IR, which has 2 temperature settings. It's blue instead of red, and it has the auto setting, which is safe for all fabrics, but then it has a turbo setting for kicking into high gear when you need that as well. Show special, this iron is going for $179 with a free silicone iron rest, because if you're ironing all day and you have to put it on the back all the time, your wrist is going to get really sore and tired out. So we actually have I don't have it on stage here with me because we sold out of them, but we have a silicone iron pad you can put there. So you can just iron and then rest it on the silicone rest and then keep ironing, and you save your wrist. One of the main reasons that quilters love this iron so much is because for safety, it has a built-in 8-minute auto shut-off. So if I don't touch this iron for 8 whole minutes, it will turn off. But has the ability to bypass that. Because I know when you're quilting, it can be frustrating if you're ironing for a little bit and then you go work on something for 10 minutes and you come back and your iron's gone cold and you got to wait for it to heat up again. So you have the ability to hold this button down for 5 seconds. It'll beep at you, show a little D for disabled. And that means that it will be hot and ready for whenever you need it. Okay? Any questions about the Velocity 270IR before I move on? Nope? Okay. We're going to move on to our professional ironing stations. So if you really want to kick into things into high gear, these are the same ironing stations that professionals use. So if I give it a little tap there, you can see the amount of steam that comes out of there and the pressure. And you can also notice that as I do that, the steam here is invisible. Okay, so what that means is it is very, very dry and hot. So some people come up to me at the show and said, how can you have dry steam? That doesn't make any sense. Steam is water. It's like, yes, but the drier it is, the less you have to worry about having your workspace end up with moisture on it. Because again, a wet workspace is very difficult to work with, and it can cause stretching in your fabric. So these are, if you go in the back, like I mentioned earlier, of an alteration shop or an apparel manufacturing facility, you probably will see one of our reliable ironing stations. These are made in Italy. They're exceptional quality. The steam pressure you get out of this one in particular, this is our 5100 IS. It gives 50 PSI of steam pressure, which again means it's going to be able to pull, like blast through all those layers of fabric. Even if I double this over again, I'm going to be able to pull through all those layers, and again, especially with this vacuum board, which I'll talk in a bit, but it's going to pull the steam through all of that and save a ton of time. It also has a fully variable thermostat on the iron itself. So again, you can adjust it for whatever fabric you're using. And you can adjust the steam flow. If you want more or less steam, it's got a little dial here as well. A cool thing about these irons is that they are, we don't do all-in-one systems. I know you've probably seen all-in-one systems possibly here at the show where everything's combined. But we actually do things piece by piece. So you can mix and match for whatever is best for your needs. Also, how many people here have ever dropped their iron? 1 or 2, I'm sure. I certainly have. This iron's pretty tough, so if you drop it, it might be okay, but if it's really high or on a hard surface, you might cause some damage. So then, if you cause damage, you need repairs. You don't need to ship the whole system back for repairs and be without anything. You can simply detach this iron. I'm not going to do it because it's hot right now, but I can just pull down on this and detach this, and then I can either replace it with another iron, or I can go get the iron repaired. I don't have to ship the whole thing. So you save a lot of money that way. What I have on here, this is an excellent way to protect your investment. This is an iron shoe. I recommend putting these on our professional irons because unlike the anodized sole plate that this one has, this, if I take this off, is an aluminum sole plate. Again, I'm not going to do it because I'll burn myself. But it runs the risk of scratching if you were to go over something hard. So what we recommend and what's actually coming with it as part of the show special is an iron shoe. So this is a Teflon coating, so it glides nice and easy. But then if I get a scratch in this is only about $20. So instead of having to replace your whole iron to get it repaired, you can just pop off the shoe, put a new one on. Also, because of the coating, it's not going to snag your fabric. This iron also has a really cool setting. It's got an eco mode. So if I'm ironing for like half an hour, then I know I'm not going to use it for another half hour. You can switch it into eco mode, which means it's going to hold it at a lower pressure. It's not going to draw as much power into the heating element. And so it's not enough pressure to steam iron with, but then when I'm ready to use it again, I can just switch it back to on, and in under 2 minutes, it's going to bring it right back up to full pressure. Okay? Any questions about the professional ironing station? Yes?
If it's starting from scratch, how long does it take to pressurize and heat up?
About 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, but then the amount, it holds 2.2 liters. It's got a tank of 2.2 liters, which will give you up to 4 hours of continuous steam. Yeah. We do have different models as well. We have, if you want to go come check us out, our booth is just over here. We've got all kinds of cool stuff to show just on the other side of this quilt wall. But we have different versions of this as well. So this one, like I said, is good for up to 4 hours of steam per day. We have our 3000 IS, which is good for up to 2 hours of steam per day if you don't need that volume. And we have our 4100 IS, which is in the middle. And then we have models that go all the way up into the commercial space from there. So I think we have 9 different models, which can be, catered to exactly what you need. Any other questions about the iron station before I move on? Yes. Yep. Yep. You don't. So with any iron, I always recommend use distilled water because that's how you're going to get the maximum lifetime of your iron. However, with this, the way it works is the particulates are going to collect in the boiler, but only steam passes through the hose to the iron. So you don't actually have to worry about the particulates getting in your iron. So it is okay to use tap water. We just recommend, you don't have to empty it out every day, but we recommend about, if you're using hard water, about once a week would be fantastic to clean it out. Absolutely. Another thing I forgot to mention is this has got a 1,000 watt heating element in the boiler itself. So that's what's generating your steam. But as it travels through this hose, it does have time to cool down a bit. So there's another 800 watt heating element in the iron to make sure that it's reheated right before it comes out, and that the steam that's actually being used with your fabric is dry. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about, yes?
So if I need, let's say I've ironed my 3 hours and I need to
You just want to let it, so what you can do is if it's low on water, you can actually just turn off the boiler, but leave the iron on, and you can depressurize it by holding it, and that'll really lower the pressure. And then if you grab a cloth or something to make sure that no steams can touch your hand, you can start unscrewing the pressure cap, and it will cool down very quickly. Okay, and then like I said, from cold water at a full tank, it only takes about 10-15 minutes to heat up. So it's pretty good. What we say is if you find you are running out of water, it's not enough for the day, we recommend when you go have your lunch break, turn it off, top it up before you start after lunch, and then it'll be ready for you to use. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is our this ironing board I have here. So this is our 500 VB. This is a vacuum board. So before I do anything, you probably are wondering, why would you need a vacuum board? First and foremost, before I hit the vacuum, you just trust me when I say this, but this board is heated. It's warm. Okay, so it's got a built-in heating coil in it because, again, you always want to be working on a dry work surface. Also, if any moisture does end up getting on the board, it'll make sure it evaporates so that the board doesn't rust. Again, it's galvanized steel, so that won't happen, but you want your workspace to be dry. Another cool, so like I mentioned, it's vacuum. So I have it set to vacuum down here on this switch, the 3-way switch. So when I press this pedal, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a big fan working, and it's actually sucking. See, it blew my paper down. There you go. There's my proof. So when you're ironing, not only will it actually hold your fabric in place, but it'll allow, like I said, if you're using a steam iron, to do multiple layers, because it's going to pull that steam through all those layers right down. Also, it helps to keep things dry, and maybe a better visualization of the vacuum working is if I use this piece of paper, you can see that it sucks it down there, and then it's hard to move. So it sets it in place. So that's one fantastic advantage. And if you think if you're quilting, you've got your backing, you've got your batting, you maybe have a layer or two on top of that. Instead of having to iron the layers separately, you can simply just throw them all down on top of each other, iron them out, and then you're done. So it saves you a ton of time that way as well. Another really cool feature that this board has is an up air function. So if I take this 3-way switch and I just switch it up, set it down, now when I press the pedal, it's going to actually blow up. So why this is cool is if anyone does garments and they're ironing something that has a nap, so like a sweater that's like a fragile material, and you don't want to worry about crushing it with your iron, you can actually iron in midair. So anyway, like I said, anything delicate where you don't want to crush it or you're worrying about crushing it, you can use that up air function, and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's the 500 VB in a nutshell. Any questions about the vacuum board? No? Okay. Like I said, I only had room for so many ironing boards up on the stage here. So we do have more to show on the other side of this quilt wall. We have another ironing board that we developed specifically for quilters. It's our 350 LB long board. And so what it is, it's got lots of extra surface area. It's 52 inches wide by 19.5 inches deep, so nice and big. It's got a rectangular end, so you get even more surface area without having a tapered end that you don't need when you're doing quilts. It's also got a Varifoam cover, so if you go over and you feel it, it's actually kind of spongy, like a memory foam. And what that does is it means the cover hugs the frame nice and tight, and you will never ever end up with wrinkles in your cover. It's also got a little black strip towards the iron rest that is our Connex heat zone, which means that, excuse me, it's made of the same material that they make firefighters uniforms out of. So it's, again, you don't want to be doing this because it's hard on your wrist. So what you can do is you can do your ironing and just slide it over to the Connex heat zone. It'll never burn through. Come back, iron, slide it over, and again, you save your wrist. It's also height adjustable between 27 and 37 inches. So depending if you're shorter or taller, you can make it the right height for you. It's got a little drawer to keep all your goodies in. It's also, similar to this board, it's also made in Italy. So they've all got a 10-year warranty on the frame. They're very, very, very well made. So definitely come on over, check that out. Another cool thing we have is our battery-powered cloth cutter. So I'm sure a few of you use rotary cutters right now. Anyone doing cutting? Yeah. So, after a day of cutting, I know sometimes your wrist or your shoulder can get a little sore, and you're only able to do a few layers at a time. Come check out our cloth cutter because we were having fun the other day. Oh, Jamie's gonna. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Now I can demonstrate it for you. So, I don't know how many layers this is. If you can see, that's probably about 20 layers or so of fabric. So what I could do, flick it on, double tap for safety. Cuts through it like butter. So another nice thing about that is, you might not be doing that many layers, but it lets you do more layers than you're probably doing right now. It's completely effortless. Slides nice and easy. You don't even need a cutting mat to cut on if you won't want to. I understand some people will because you want those measurements. But it's all got these beautiful rollers, so it slides nice and easy. And also, if you are using your cutting mat, I know some people are reluctant to cut in the same spot all the time because eventually you wear it through. This won't. So it cuts up to an inch of fabric. We were having fun the other day, and we cut through 90 layers just for fun. And again, it went through it just like butter. You can adjust where the guard is. It's got 5 different speed settings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I hold this button down, it actually has a little light. So I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And it also, has a built-in sharpener. So you can sharpen as you go. So that blade's going to last you a really long time.
So can you use it with a ruler to get an
Absolutely. Actually, if you come over to our booth, we have a ruler set up, and we can show you exactly how you do that. Yeah, so you definitely can cut straight edges. It just butts up against the base plate like that. Comes with 2 batteries, so you never have any downtime, and they're both rechargeable. So that's a really cool thing. Come check that out as well. What else do we have? Like I said, we're from the industrial sewing space, so we have sewing lights that are Uberlight Flex, which was originally designed as a sewing light, fully flexible gooseneck with 9 different light settings. But the newest version is pretty cool. You can use it even if you're not sewing, just anything you need a light for. We have a base version that can go in the middle of your table, and we have a clamp version that will clamp onto the edge of the surface as well. We also have our Verve rotary press, which, does anyone here know what a mangle is? Ever heard of a mangle? Yeah. So it's like a new age mangle, which was a roller press, where it's really great for large sheets of fabric. So if you're doing like king size quilts, or if you're doing yardage, and it's a lot of work to run out of space here. A lot of work to iron and then flip your material over and iron and flip it over. Instead, you can just take the fabric and feed it through the roller press. You press down on the pedal, and it just feeds it through. And if you want, it'll steam out of the roller as well. So it's going to get rid of all those wrinkles, save you a ton of time. Like I said, anyone doing big quilts or yardage, it's absolutely perfect for. So definitely come check that out. I realize I didn't talk too much about price on things, but we do have a number of show specials going on. So this actually probably isn't as expensive as you think. We've got a show special going on right now for the 500 VB vacuum board with the 5100 IS ironing station for, where'd my paper go? For only $12.58. So very, very affordable. And again, you can mix and match the irons if you want a different model as well. with the board. So you actually save $140 if you go for that special. The 270 IR is $179, and like I said, it comes with the Velocity iron rest. We're also doing a show special if you get the Velocity 270 IR along with the 350 LB Quilter's longboard I was telling you about. You save $40, it's only $438, and that's shipped to your door. So free shipping with the iron and the board for only $438. So there's some pretty good deals going on here. So like I said, come visit me after if you have more questions, check these things out. And are there any final questions I can answer before I go? Everyone's good? Okay, well, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning, and enjoy the final day of the show.
Everybody. I'm going to get started here with my PrintModa demo. This is Brother's new fabric printer. If anyone wants to sit up in my front row here, I'm going to have some fun stuff to pass out so you can feel and see. Up to you.
On a brother machine, actually.
Good morning. Welcome to the last day of Quilt Show. How are we feeling? All right. Thanks for being here. So lovely to see your beautiful faces. So I am Sara, and I'm here to tell you all about Brother's new fabric printer, the PrintModa Studio. This is an inkjet ink printer, and Brother has some amazing printer and fax machine technology. So they've used all of that information that they've had from making printers and fax machines over the years, and they've given us a beautiful fabric printer. So like I said, inkjet ink. There are your inks right there in the front cover. They might look familiar if you have a color printer at home. These are standard printer inks. And they've modified one of the trays down here to hold a roll of fabric. So here's my fabric tray. And I'm going to take my roll out here so we can take a look at it. This is 100% cotton. And it is pre-treated to absorb our inkjet inks. It also is pre-backed on the roll. That's the shiny material that you see there. And what that does is it allows the fabric to feed through the machine smoothly so your prints don't have any bumps or wrinkles in them. Okay? It's very easy to load it into the tray here. I'm going to slip it under here, roll it up until it hits the notches in the back, and that's what's going to allow it to feed into my machine. And then I'm just going to set the tray right back in, and we are ready to print. So that inkjet ink means that you get beautiful, vibrant colors and really crisp photos on your projects. I'm going to pass around some of my prints here so you can see it up close. Any colors you like. Thank you. You get really beautiful detail. It quilts up beautifully. No cracks or anything in the print. It has a nice soft hand feel. And it works great for applique as well. Even your cut and sew projects. Excuse me. So, because we're printing on a roll of fabric, that means that we are not limited to those 8.5 by 11 sheets of consumable fabric that we buy now to print at home. We can print up to 3 yards at once. So that's how we end up getting these big, beautiful panels to use in our memory quilts, to display on the wall. We can even print full-size banners to hang up at home. So there's a lot of versatility in that 3 yard limit. That's the maximum print size. And one standard set of our inkjet inks will actually print 7 rolls of fabric, and the rolls hold 5 yards. So that's 35 yards of fabric that you can print with one standard set of ink. Do you have any questions so far? Thank you. Yeah. The question is, can you refill the ink or do you have to purchase new ones? You do have to purchase new cartridges. Yeah, so these are single-use cartridges. They come in and out nice and easy. And they're not refillable, so you do have to purchase a new cartridge when this runs out. You can easily, yes. Yeah, thank you. The question is, how washable is it? We've had really good results washing these fabrics. There's really minimal fading on the colors, and they've held up really well. Brother does not encourage you to use these for projects like clothing that you would wear and wash really, really often, but otherwise, we've seen really good results. And there's no treatment that you have to do to the fabric. Like I said, it's pre-treated on the roll. So all you have to do is print, let it dry for a few minutes. Those inks will set in and lock into the fabric, and then they're ready to be used and washed in all your projects. All right. So the printer was designed to be used with Brother's Artspira app. That app is free to download for Apple or Android users. And it actually works with the printer with Brother's wirelessly enabled embroidery machines as well as their ScanNCuts. So this is a really well-rounded app. If you guys have any other Brother products in your sewing room, you can do a lot with this. For today, I'm going to focus in on the printing portion of the app. So there's a bunch of different things you can do in here to help you print out some beautiful projects. You have some templates that are already designed for you and ready for you to just customize and print. So for my photo frames, you can kind of swipe through, take a look at all the different options that are here, find something that you like. And when you're ready, you can tap on it. It gives you the project dimensions, so you know how big it's going to print. When you press create, you can tap on the different elements and then swap them out for your own images. So the app is pulling images directly from my phone, so I don't have to import them from anywhere else. All the images that are on your phone are available to use in the app with the top of the button. So I'm going to select my image. And then there's some basic editing tools in here too, like filters that we can add to the photo if we'd like. There's also a crop tool, so I can kind of pinch to zoom in or make it smaller to fill my frame just how I'd like. And then we're ready to print. And that's this project that I printed right here and sewed up into a cute little pillow. Now this is Quilt Show after all, so they also have some beautiful quilting label templates. So you can customize and print your own quilt labels. Let's take a look at some of those. So we can go to the label category, select the design, select our size. We actually have two size options here. Then you can kind of zoom in on those. You can select different portions of the text and swap that out for your own name. You can also change the font style. There's lots of different fonts to choose from right in the app. And you can change the color as you like. Okay. Now, if you'd like to design your very own fabric, of course you can do that as well. And there's a couple of tools in here that you can use to accomplish that. So under new and printing, we have the design editor, and we also have geometric patterns. So geometric patterns is a really fun tool to create some unique fabric designs. So I can go in and pick the size of the fabric I'd like to design. My minimum print size is 8.27 inches. So that's what I chose here, just for demonstration purposes. And now the first option that comes up are the patterns. And these are all the built-in patterns in the Artspira app that are ready for you to use and print with. There's lots of different ones in here. They're all beautiful, colorful. There is something for everyone and something for every project. Sure. I'll go back. So this is my Artspira app home screen. Down at the bottom here, I'm going to tap new. Yeah. And that's where we are. So like I said, you can use this app with your Brother embroidery machines, the wirelessly enabled embroidery machines. You can use it with the ScanNCut and with the PrintModa Studio. So those are all those tabs up there, embroidery, cutting, and printing. Then we went into geometric patterns, and I just selected the size that I'd like from the fabric roll section down here. This also works with Brothers Sublimation Printer. So this portion up here is for the sublimation printer, and then where it says fabric roll, that's where we're going to look to print with the PrintModa Studio. Okay, so we took a look at the patterns. So it also pulls directly from our images again, and what we can do with the geometric pattern function is we can select a piece of our photo to be duplicated in kind of a kaleidoscope type effect to create our very own fabrics with our images that we have, with drawings that you make, with a picture that you took of flowers, let's say, and it creates a really beautiful effect. Again, using our own images. I'm going to pass this around so you guys can take a look. And then we have two coordinating fabrics. I'm going to pass that around for our projects. So that's really nice for quilting because we can get some yardage of a full-size print and some yardage of the geometric print. They go together, but they have two different looks, and it gives a nice variety. If you'd like to create your own collages, you can do that with the design editor. So in here, again, I'm just going to select the A4 size just to demo. And we're able to choose a background color. We can do just a solid color, and if you'd like, you could print off this solid colored fabric if you need a little extra for your project. You can also pick a gradation. They have some nice ones in there. Then you could just fill and print some yardage with one of the beautiful patterns that you find in the app. You can fill the space with one of your own photos to print a really large panel to use in your quilt or any other project. And this is also where you can find the patterns that you've created in the geometric pattern function that we were just playing with. So they live here under the My Pattern tab. And we can select those to print yardage of those patterns that we've designed. I'm going to pull in this sun pattern that I created a little while ago. Now, again, down at the bottom, we filled our background. Now I can go ahead and start adding in some of my own photos or some of the graphic designs that live on the app. So I'm going to select my photo here. It drops in, and now I can select it, and I can just pinch with my fingers to make it larger or smaller and move it around my printing area. Tap away from it, I can press the plus sign again. Now I can look into printing data, and these are the graphic designs that live in the ArtSpira app. So I'll go into illustration, and there's so many to look at here. I can kind of scroll through for hours. If I don't want to scroll through for hours, I can go to the filter and look for the specific thing that I'm trying to add to my collage here. So there's ways to filter that as well. See something I like, I can tap it, adds it to the page for me. I'm going to move it around. There's all different kinds of tools in here for moving, flipping, rotating. And then I can also add text. And again, I can choose between different fonts and colors until I have a design that I'm happy with. All right, any questions so far? I'm going to print this out so you guys can see how quietly the printer prints. And it also has a built-in trimmer. So after I'm done printing, it's going to cut that for me exactly to size. And it'll just be ready to pull out of the printer straight away. Now, there are two different options when it comes to print settings. We have fine and eco mode. And I have this visual representation here to show you we printed the same pattern twice, once in fine printing mode, once in eco mode. And you can barely tell the difference between the two. But eco mode will save you a little bit of ink. So I like to just print in eco mode at all times to save myself some ink. I'm going to make sure I'm connected to the correct printer here. Now, Artspira has this little notification pop up before I print to remind me to just pause and take a look and think if I have enough yardage on my roll in my tray to print this particular project. So it's telling me I need 8.27 inches, and I believe I have just enough on my roll, so I'm going to say okay.
And all the stuff. Yes.
Now it's sending over to the printer here. The transfer is complete, and now it's just printing out. What's that? Can't even hear it. It's very quiet.
How long does it take to print like 8 by 11?
Well, we're printing something that is 8.27 by over 11 inches, so you'll see right now how long it takes. It's going to be less than a minute. And I filled the whole thing with color, so that's a full color print. And it does print borderless as well, so the color is going to go right up to the edge.
Oh, thank you.
All right, there it is. Again, there's a built-in trimmer, so it just trimmed that for me, and now the rest of my roll remains in my tray ready for my next print job. So I can remove this, and it's cut to size, full color. All right. Any other questions?
How long does it take to dry?
That's what I was just going to say. How long does it take to dry? Because you're handling it very delicately.
Yes, so we are going to let it dry for 15 minutes, and then the ink will be set in, and it'll be ready to have the backing removed and used in any of my projects. So just 15 minutes for dry time.
How is it iron balanced? How is it iron?
It irons really well.
Like steam on it? Or
Nope, I use steam on this one to iron the seams and make sure it's nice and smooth to put my pillow form in, so you can see it didn't distort anything. I also tested out making a mouse pad where I coated it in Mod Podge on both sides, and all I did was let it dry for 15 minutes, and then I did the Mod Podge, and it didn't smear the colors, or the colors aren't running at all. The images are still super crisp, so I've been putting it to the test for sure. So Allbrands is offering an awesome show special. They are shipping the printer for free. Brother is offering a $100 rebate, and Allbrands is also throwing in a roll of fabric. Again, the fabric comes in 5-yard rolls, and they run right around $100. So you're getting one roll for free when you purchase a machine at the show, and that is only until the end of the day. Sorry?
how much?
They run around $100. So the question was, can you use other brands of fabric sheets? You can. If you still have some of those consumable sheets that you purchased to use in your regular inkjet printer, you can just throw those right into the paper tray here. Did I mention that it prints paper? Sorry if I missed that part. but it does print paper cardstock, photo paper, sticker paper, anything you would do in your regular printer, it does that as well. So if you have those pages of fabric to print, you can throw them in the paper tray and print them all the same. Yeah, so how much does the ink cost? A set of ink will run you right around $150. The cyan, yellow, and magenta are $30 each. The black is twice the size, so it's $50 for one cartridge. And like I said, one standard set of ink will print you 35 yards of fabric. So for around $150, it goes a really long way.
Color one already.
It comes with a starter set, with is just I think a little bit less than a standard set. It also comes with a starter roll, which is 1.5 yards. So when you buy one at the show, you're getting started right out of the gate with 6.5 yards of fabric to play with. The show price, the MSRP is $1,500, and the show price is $950, and that's with everything I mentioned included: free shipping, fabric roll, the $100 rebate. And they're offering 25% off any additional ink or fabric that you purchase with your sheet today. Thank you, ladies.
Okay, I'm live. Woohoo! I'm Coleen, I'm a brother educator, and I am here to talk to you about one of my favorite programs in the whole world. It is called My Design Center. And I'm not going to tell you what it really does, because if I say that word, it'll make you run scared. So I'm just going to say that it's the way that you can create any design you want. Is that cool? So stick with me, let's get going. There's all kinds of things we can do with this. And what I've been starting with is, I have this little stack of stuff to show you. What I've been starting with is something else, but I'm going to do this first today because you're my last class. So you can see. So what I assumed, I'm going to show you this. That is a coloring book. That is an embroidered design. Show you that next. Now I want to show you how to quilt. Because a lot of times what people do, and they get all upset about it, is they've got this really pretty pieced quilt or this really pretty something, but they don't know how they're going to quilt around it. Well, that's my job. That's this guy's job right here. So we're going to choose a design, and it doesn't matter which one it is. I assume because he's way better than I am that he's already done that part. So I'm going to choose this design on the screen. I'm going to touch set. I'm going to touch edit. When I touch edit, you get this funky looking little flower. You touch the little flower, and it made an outline. Now the outline is a wall to keep the quilting from going over your pretty design. Don't you wish you had a wall on the inside? Well, if I touch inside on, I'll have a wall on the inside too. Now I can quilt and it won't touch my design. So I'm going to put that into memory. And then it tells me where to find it. I put it into memory, but we don't always remember where we put it. So we put it in My Design Center Stamp Pattern List. So we're going to tell it, okay, add from what? My Design Center Stamp Pattern List. And there it is, right where it's supposed to be. That means an angel found its wings. Did you know that? A new machine has been adopted. So here's my pretty design. And now I would like to quilt around it. So I will go down here. I'm going to skip the top. We'll come back to that later. I'm going to go right down here. And I could do this paintbrush thing and I could just draw like that, but that's too annoying. It would take me too long. So I'm going to go to the bucket. Touch the checklist. That's fill, that's stipple, that's the good stuff. Now I'm going to do leaves because I want leaves around my quilt because it's a wreath, right? So I'm going to go straight to green. Okay, leaves, done. I hope I didn't lose you in that process, right? Okay, now I need to fill the center. Now the center is going to have writing in it, so I'm going to put cross hatching in there. So this time we're going to go back here again, touch our bucket, touch our list. This time we're going to go look because I want you to see the different fills that I have. Please notice that I only have 48 to choose from that are built in. Can you add extras? Yes, because you could put them in the custom tab. So Cynthia's Embroidery.com has some custom ones. There are other companies, but she does a great job because she's a brother educator. Now, I'm going to choose cross-hatching. I'm going to touch OK. I'm going to touch blue. I'm choosing a dark color so you can see it. I'm not going to stitch it in that. Isn't that cool? All right, are you ready? Now, I got what I want, but I'm going to fix it because this was just the choosing part. Now, when I go to the fixing part, I'm going to go to next. And I think that quilting's a little small for me, don't you? I mean, for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to make it, whoops, I'm going to go and I'm going to make it a lot bigger. Now, you got to watch because when this goes, look at where it is now. Okie dokie. And Ooh, that's better size, isn't it? So I went from 100 to 200%. I can change the angle, I can put an outline, I can do all these things. I'm going to skip down to here. I'm going to stitch it one time around and go, okay. And then we're going to the blue because we're going to make some big changes on that guy. First of all, I don't want him at 100% because I'm putting lettering over him. So I'm going to shrink him down. I want him down at 50%. Okay. Now watch what happens. Oh, that's a good size background, isn't it? Now we're going to do the angle. Now I don't like this angle, but I want you to see what it does. So I can move it to 45 and have it look like a netting, but you really can change the look. In this case, I don't want that, so I'm just going to touch my go back key and put it back to where I had it. Okay. Outline on or off. Let's distort it because with these nice diagonal lines, you'll be able to really see a nice distortion. That one's a little bad. So if I wanted it to be less, I would choose a different style, and this one will be less. You have a bunch of choices. See, that one's more subtle. But I don't like any of them anyway, so I'm going to go back. Go back again. There we go. This one will change the center point. So the center point, if it's a design that has a center, is in the center. But I can move it so that it's here or here. And that directs the eye out to the edges of your quilt. So you can do it diagonally or straight, whichever. And then again, 3 times around or 1 time around, I'm going to just do 1. And there is my project. Pretty cool, right? Now, when I touch set, before I touch set, I'm going to touch memory, and I'm going to save it. And then when I touch set, it's going to tell me it's going to be an embroidery pattern. And there she is, good to go. Now, obviously, what's the next thing we're going to do? We're going to put in letters. So we're going to go to Add, Letters, and I'm going to put in, I'm just going to type in the word made. And I'm going to touch down here. I can touch set and do this, or I can touch it here. And I have different font choices. I liked that font at first, but now I don't. Now I wish it was that one. Or that one. Or that one. Doesn't matter. I can choose any one I want. There's only how many? 30 some? 24 to choose from. So that, and then these are the baby ones for little tiny labels. But aren't those wonderful? You can choose whatever you want. So I'm going to touch that. And then I'm going to just drive him around to where I want him. And I'm going to change his size because he's looking a little big. There we go. And I don't need to stitch that because you all know how we got there, and that's all that counts. But there it is. Isn't it cool? So it looks just exactly like my picture. Kind of fun, huh? Now, that was for those quilters who want to be perfectionist quilters. So let's do a little something else here. Let me see. What else have I got in this? Let's do this one. This one's fun. What we're going to do is we're going to do a recipe. So this is my recipe, and I've written it out, and I'm putting it on the scan mat. And I'm going to put it in here, and it's going to scan it. And it's going to bring that recipe right up on the page for you to see. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to tell it to line scan, because those are lines, and off it goes. It can scan other things, too. It can scan pictures. It can scan fabric. That's what I was going to bring up and forgot. It can scan in a fabric and sometimes almost duplicate it. Now, you wouldn't do that, but you could. This is cool. See what the camera's doing. The camera module's right here in front of me, right on my stop button, and it's scanning it. And did you see it pause a little bit at the beginning? That was to check its white balance and the light in the room to see that it can get the best picture that it can get. Isn't that smart? You didn't even have to ask it. It just did it by itself. I always appreciate that. You thinking for me. That's a good thing. So, and she's thinking, and there's my recipe, and she's not the way I like her, but first we're going to crop out those magnets because we don't need any magnets in our picture. So first thing I'm going to do is crop those out. And then, see how she's down here at the very bottom, I have grayscale? Okay, I'm going to tell her that it's too light and I want her to go lighter. So when I tell her that it's lighter than I want it to be, she will make it darker. And there she is, ready, just like that. And I can set it. And I'm not going to embroider it here because I've already embroidered it for you. Where did I? There she is, right here. So this is just, oh, I got that too close to my mouth when I stood up, sorry. When the nieces and the nephews come, they love my peanut butter cookies, and it's something that they always ask for. So this year for Christmas, they're going to get a tea towel with my recipe on it. So they'll have it for other. I think if I gave them a recipe card, they might lose it, but they won't lose this. What do you think? You think they'll like it? Is that fun? Thank you. I just thought that was fun. And it really, really is a good cookie recipe, by the way. Now, I showed you how to take a design and add quilting around it, but I didn't show you how to make your own design, did I? Well, there happens to be a lot of tools in here to help you make your own design. So we're going to just go home and get rid of this. We're going to go to My Design Center, and we're going to choose some different shapes and tools. So we're going to choose right here. We're going to choose the flower. We're going to touch it into place, and there it is. Now, I want another flower, so what's the easy way for me to do that? Copy, paste. And I've got two of it, and it's offset. So now when it's offset, I'm going to resize it, and I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to touch it into the center, and I have a perfectly placed little flower now. Every flower needs a center, so let's give it a center. Okay, my center's a little big, but that's okay. I know where that size button is, so I'm going to scroll her down. Okay, so this particular program is on several of our machines, so I'm just going to go on about the business here of filling it in. So my little circle, I'm going to come in and I'm going to fill it with bright happy yellow, and that's the fill. That's the stipple, and that's my quilting. So I'm going to just touch that. Now this guy, this is a little tricky, so I'm going to touch here. I'm going to choose medium pink, and I'm going to choose one of my quilt fills. I'm going to choose roses, and I'm going to choose pink, and I'm going to have little pink roses in the middle. And then on the outside, I'm going to just choose a fill again, and I'm going to choose hot pink. There's my little flower. Now, if I want to, between the spaces on the flower, there will be just a little teeny tiny gap. But I would rather have some fun stitching. So I'm going to go back up here to the lines, and I'm going to touch the bucket and the checklist. And it looks like I have 8 lines, doesn't it? Plus no sew. Well, if I touch right here, I have 10 more. Cool, huh? So let's touch this guy, because to me, that really, really looks like the edge of a flower. Doesn't it look like the outline of a flower? So we're going to do that in that hot pink. And you won't be able to see it until I make it bigger, but there it is. You can tell because it changed color. Now the next one we're going to do, whoops, wrong place. Next one we're going to do is, I did it again. My brain is tired, I guess. This time I think we should do, wouldn't those be fun, little candle wicking stitches? And I'm going to do those in hot pink. And then that last one, I think we'll just do that in a satin stitch. That'll give it a nice outer edge. So we'll do the satin stitch. And there we go. Now we're going to go to next. We'll add leaves in a minute. So I'm just going to let it make its own choices for autofill, for background. It does a really nice job. So I'm just going to let it do its own on all the fills. And I'm going to come here. That's my, okay, that's good. Oh, those candle wicking stitches now, I can make them bigger or smaller. I can do all kinds of things with them. I think I want them a little tiny bit bigger just because I can. And there they are. Ooh, those are impressive, aren't they? And then we'll go one more. We can flip it up and down. We can do all kinds of things with it. And now we're going to touch that. And there's my embroidery pattern. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, goodness gracious. This is similar. Isn't that amazing? It was hard to do though, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, I can scribble on the screen with my pen or my finger and fill it in and have a beautiful color design. What's really fun to do with some of these things is the kiddos bring home their artwork, you know, or you get a card that's really special. You can scan it and you can do something fun with it. I've done it on T-shirts for the kids. Oh my gosh, they just think that's the best. Now I want to show you, I have a couple more minutes, so I want to show you something else. Here's another one. And I'm going to show you how to make the colors change. But see the color. Now see the fishy. Now when I make the fishy swim, look at his orange fill. Does it all look the same thread? Is that all the same color to you? No. Well, it is. Your eyes lied to you. So the deal is your eyes are so sophisticated that they are picking up the light reflection and it makes it look like a different color because I changed the angle of the thread. It is the same spool of thread. Now think to yourself, if you could do that in a design where you didn't want to have to change a thread 60 times, make you happy, wouldn't it? So that's the fun thing about that. Now, how do I do that? Well, let me show you. It's pretty hard. I'm going to choose the leaf. I'm going to make it big, 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 big. Now I'm going to just draw a line through it so it's two parts to the leaves, and it's going to look really stupid, but you don't have to worry about that because they're not going to stitch it anyway. So we'll just grab a pencil line and go right through it like that. Now, when I go to next, and I'm going to touch, oh, I didn't fill it yet. Oops, you got to fill it, Coleen. Let's put some green in there. Green fill. And green fill. It's going to look the same, isn't it? No big deal about that. But here's where the trick is. When you touch next, it's chosen the top half. Now I'm going to turn off auto. And I'm going to tell I want to tell it what direction I want you to stitch. Oh, I didn't know you could do that, did you? So I'm going to tell it that I want it to sew at a 30-degree angle. You'll find out why in just a minute. But it's changed the direction now that the thread is going to stitch. So I'm going to tell it, okay, that's good. I'm going to go to next. It's going to set it. And I'm going to turn the density down just a hair because I think it might make it easier for you to see. This is full compensation and this is underlay. And I don't care if I have underlay on or not, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to the next green. It's the bottom box. Again, I'm going to take it out of to manual. And this time I'm going to go to 60 degrees. Okay, touch all right. I'm going to turn down my density just a little bit. And I'm going to set it into place. And here's what's going to happen. The angle of the thread will come to a match point so that your eye is reading that as two different colors. Just like your eye did with the fish, it's not two spools of thread. I'm lazy. I just changed the direction. I just changed the angle just a little bit, and that made it look so different. Is that cool? So let me show you a couple more little things you can do.
I got a question about your leaf there.
Yes.
How do you get rid of those black lines?
Oh, to get rid of the black lines. Oops, let me just go back. I can actually just turn them off. Let's see, I think I have to go back one more to get to that. Back. No, that's going to take it out. Oh, well.
Like the ones that are overlapping, you know, into the...
Right. I can just turn them off. I can turn them into a no-sew line as I'm going through this. I just didn't do it because for time. But that's what you can do is you can turn anything in as you're picking the stitches. So here we have our stitch choices right here, and we can touch. It's in here somewhere. Somewhere in here is the no sew, but you can just turn off the sewing to it. That's what I just ran through that quickly. This I did as a pictorial because when you're changing the sizes of the fills, it's hard for you to remember in your head. This is the size of the fill. This is when I took it down to 50%, and this is when it's up at 200%. So you can do that with any of our fills. Isn't that amazing? So you can use this on a little project or a big project. And because we have given you so many fills, we've given you 48 to play with, you have a lot of control. And you can add things, you can overlap them, you can do all kinds of fun things with them. There's really no limit to what you can do. I have a couple of extra seconds. This is a fill that one of the girls made. I know, isn't that funny? It's fish and then crabs. Aren't those fun? So you can, if you have our PE Design 11 software, you can make any fill you want. They're really easy to do. You just draw them and boom, they're done. That's it. If you don't have our fill, as I mentioned, you can purchase them. Because of where I was coming this week, I made this fill. Isn't that fun? It's a state of Texas fill. So I can use it on any quilt, any towel, any background that I want. And of course, because it's in the machine, I can resize it down to nothing or make it bigger or whatever I want to do. It's all right there. So I kind of went through that fast. Are there questions? I didn't really give you a lot of time to ask questions. So were there any questions? No questions? That means I did a great job. No, I'm just kidding. This program is included on several of our top-end machines. And to me, now I'm going to tell you what it's really doing. You're digitizing. I didn't want to say that word because everybody would have got up and left. They'd have been afraid. But what you're doing is you're digitizing. You're taking nothing and you're turning it into an embroidery file, and you can do it on the screen of this machine. So if you have a design you don't like, you can take out a part, you can add a part, you can draw in extra things on it. I know many times I've gotten a design that had a shape, and I think, oh, that's boring. I could put an initial in there or something and dress it up. Easy, 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 easy. No questions. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you have, you can always come and see over here. I've got a bunch of things that we've done. So there's stuff right there. So come see me, say hello. Have a wonderful day. You bet. I'll turn off my mic so you don't get deafened.
Here to talk about the XJ2 or the XE2, the embroidery side. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on for the next half hour. If you have specific questions, let me know, and I'll go there. My name is Barb. I'm from Brother, an educator with Brother for about 15 years. I love teaching. I'm a retired high school teacher, and I love sewing. So, good combination, sewing and teaching. It's all good. we're going to try to coordinate some things here so you can see what I'm doing on the screen sometimes on the bed of the machine, and sometimes I'm just going to be showing you samples. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the wireless feature, which is really amazing because you can now send designs directly to your machine from your computer, or things from your computer to your machine, back and forth. You can send things to your ScanNCut, a Brother ScanNCut. So if you do appliques, amazing. You just send it to your cutter, it cuts it, you bring it back, and it stitches it. It's so slick. Okay. Also to now the PrintModa. So if you get into that, where you're designing your own fabrics, all wireless connections. So much fun. So how we do that is we use apps, and they're free apps. So you have several that you can get. One that you're going to want right away is my Design Snap app, the Snap app. That is huge because that's what you do to take pictures of something you want the machine to stitch. So I do a lot of custom quilting. So this is one of the patterns I used on a table runner for fall. And I just got free clip art off of the internet, and the one that doesn't have any restrictions to it. So then I made my quilting pattern. Took a picture of it with my phone, went to my Snap app and said, I want to choose one of my own pictures, and it gives you your whole camera roll. And you choose the picture you want to send to the machine. It sends it to the design center. So that's this area right here. You're going to pull it out of the pocket, the wireless pocket of the design center, and it's ready to go. Okay. Now you can, in the design center, and I don't know how much time did Coleen spend on design center in Luminaire, but maybe you weren't here for that. Okay. It's not exactly the same, but pretty much the same. So you can choose to assign different stitches to your lines. They typically default at satin stitches. Well, you don't want to quilt with a satin stitch. So you just, in the program, just change it to a running stitch. So let me just do that real quick for you. I'll just bring in a shape because I don't have wireless connection. So here's a shape. Bring that in. And under this area here, I get to choose what I want to do with my lines. And any lines that connect will all do the same thing. So I have a sample here to show you where I stop the lines just ever so slightly, so I could do a different stitch and a different color and all that kind of stuff. So right now, can you see right here, this is a satin stitch because it defaulted as a satin stitch. So I go to the menu. Are we up? Yeah. Oh, okay. Let me go back. It defaults as a satin stitch. You see that there. So I'm going to go to the menu, and I'm going to say, I don't want a satin stitch. I want just a running stitch. That's all I want. You can choose whatever color you want. So for now, I'll leave it black so you can see it better. Now I do the fill bucket to fill the thing, and I touch my line. Whatever I want. I can't see that it changed. Okay? If I touch it again and I listen, it tells me that it changed. It knocks at me. It doesn't beep. So, I don't know if you guys could hear that. That was a knock, knock. So that's one way I know. And I always double check. I touch it twice just so I know it changed, and I don't have to worry about it. So the same thing here is you can fill anything with different things, and that's this area. So go to that menu, and I can choose either a fill stitch, literally a fill stitch, meaning if I've got a hand drawing from a grandchild and they colored it in red, I can go ahead and scan it as a line art and color the sections in the colors that they use. So let me go back and do that. Right now, I will say fill stitch. That's this one. I'm gonna come in and we'll change it to pink. Say, okay, I need to do the fill bucket, and all I have to do is touch it and it fills it. Well, if I decide I don't like that look, I want to do it with a different pattern, say. I can do a stippling, that's instant also, and my fill bucket will still be on because I just used it. Now it's a stippling pattern. And if I don't want to do that, I want to do a more of a quilt design. All my choices are under these two buttons. So I can choose any one of these designs to fill with. So for the heck of it, let's do this one. Say okay. It's still pink, which I could change. Come back, fill bucket is still active, and now I have a different pattern. So we're so visual, we like to see what it is we're doing. You get to see, which is just really nice. Okay, so that's if you send a picture over and you want to change what the stitch is. And let's see if I can find that sample easily. Of course not, you know how that goes. There we go. So this was done in Design Center from scratch. I brought in a circle, turned it into a pumpkin shape. I brought in a rectangle, made it a stem. I brought in the leaves that are built into the Design Center. There's all kinds of choices. And then I assigned a different stitch to every part. And I filled the leaves with a pattern, like I just showed you. So if these had touched, then they would have been the same stitch in the same color. So I stopped it ever so slightly before, but you can't see that. So have a look here. Oh, good catch. We're in competition with raffle, I guess. I'm not raffling anything, sorry. All right, so you can. I'm with her. You can just leave it. Oh, that's fine. It'll stay there till I'm done. It's fine.
I can help pass too.
Oh, okay. So then you can also do a background scan. So if you wanted to put a design on above the pocket on a shirt, so you hoop it and you don't hoop it so straight, you can do a scan on this machine through the Snap app. So then now I can see on my screen what's in my hoop, and I can bring the design in and put it exactly however I want. Size it, rotate it, move it, but I can see what I'm doing. So that's part of the Snap app also. So you'll also have an app called My Stitch Monitor. That's on your phone. Some people like, oh, well, why would I want that? I love it. I have usually several machines running at the same time because I'm not home that much. Gotta get it done. And I might run upstairs to change a load wash, or I might whatever. And as long as it's stitching along, I don't get a notification. But if I broke a thread, or it's done embroidering, or my bobbin's empty, it tells me. So I know I can run back downstairs and get it back on. So that stitch monitor is quite nice, and that's part of the wireless connections. Okay, we're going to start with the size of hoops, which you already know. You're going to get a 5x7 and a 9.5 by 14. And a 9x9. She got the XJ. XE only comes with 2. Not that one. XJ. Okay. So the thing about your hoops is they have these marks on them. You need to have these marks to use that wireless connection to your machine. You can use any brother hoops to do whatever with, but if you want to take a picture and send it to the machine, you got to use the ones that have those marks on them. Okay, I don't know where my 5x7 went. That's okay. I'll find it in a minute. This is a new hoop that she may have gotten with her package, the 7x12 magnetic hoop. So these literally are magnets, didn't come in the package. Okay. I can't remember whose package has what. So you just slide the magnets across your fabric and literally it pops onto the bar around it. I love these for doing things like organza or chiffon or netting because it cannot move on me and it's nice and stable. And I've done the butterfly that she's doing right now on netting, a couple layers, with no stabilizer, with a magnetic hoop. Okay, so you can, but you got to make sure it's so stable that it's not all over. Okie dokie. 101 Disney designs built in. With the 788 designs. The coat that's over there, that design is built into this machine. As,
The cherry blossom? Oh,
it's actually a upholstery fabric, but it's okay. here's the design right here. Now, it's only 13.5 by 9. Obviously, I took the design and I added to it, but it's in here. There it is. Some of the other new designs, that butterfly right there on that jacket, this little girl's jacket, I just put a bunch of, like, there's a garden and butterflies, and the deer is like a sketched design. It's in here. The couching for the letters is in here. I'll pass some of those out so you can feel them and see how they are. But there's a lot of designs built in. So, Artspira, which I'm sure you've heard of, is another free app. They have 2 versions now, free app, and there's one that you can get a subscription to. You just decide what you want to do. But you can use the free version, and I don't know where my picture went. I'll show you what I pulled out of Artspira and how it's stitched. So it's in my pile of samples over there somewhere. It'll show up. There's another version of it. I pulled this out of Artspira. I printed it just so I could show people, but I didn't need to print it because I just sent it directly to my machine and it stitched it. Okay, so this is a free design from Artspira, and you get every week they add things to it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay. 28 built-in fonts. Well, it's not just fonts, because fonts are fonts, but here are your fonts. And in the past, a couple of them have always been Japanese. Well, they're all American now. 28 American. Plus, you have 6 large lettering fonts, and you have even as much as like a 1/4-inch font. So I want to just show you real quick how easy it is to create pieces of art with fonts in here. I'm going to just take those and say set. And once I've set it, in the past, you're done. You can't change it now, but now we can. We have this new text editing tool. It's T for text editing. So I can size these letters, I can array them, I can change the spacing, I can even change the font as I look at it. So I come in here, I decide, oh, I don't like that font. Can I look at this font? Yeah, maybe a different font. How about Old English or whatever? But it's nice that you can see this now without having to rework all of your stuff that you put in there. And then I can also, like I said, do the array. So I can do something like that, and if it's too tight. So remember I said you can scan what's in your hoop. So you're now going to try to put these letters someplace in a certain thing. You can see it while you're putting it there, and then when you're done, stitch it and it's perfect. Yep, you'll take it, right? Oh, well, I mean, all right. 2-point positioning mark. How to line it up. So no, we don't have a camera in here, but you do have that scan, send your picture, which is kind of like the camera. We don't have a projector in here, but we do have a 2-point positioning mark. So let me show you that. I'm going to grab a design here. I'm going to grab the bunny, just because I think he's so cute. Here's my bunny, and he's cute, but he's only 2 inches by 2 inches. That's not 2 inches by 2 inches. So here's something that you can do with any design you bring in from anywhere, okay? And that's size it. I'm going to say size, but here's the secret. It defaults to this box right here that has no stitches in it. So you can size this up 20% or down 20%, and it's going to change it 2 stitches. That's it. If I press the magic button next to it, and say, okay, now it's defaulting, it's going to the one that has stitches in it. So now when I size, it's going to redigitize. And I can now go up 200% bigger or 60% smaller. So you know all of those, I had this butterfly somewhere and I needed to fit here and it doesn't fit there. Well, now it does. Okay, so now he's 4 inches by 4 inches. All because I just pressed the magic button and it totally changed the stitch count, which is good. Now I want to put him above a pocket. So I've gone to my work table, I figured out where I want this to be centered, and I mark it on my shirt. And I hoop my shirt. And here's my pocket, and I didn't hoop it so straight. That's what it's all about, right? Because who wants to spend the time trying to have it exactly centered and exactly straight? It never is. It never is. You think it is. So I'm going to do this bunny, and I'm going to go. If I'm looking for a tool and it's not on the page I'm on, it's either on the next page or it's on the page before. So I'm going to go to the next page, open up my editing options, and this is the new one. This is 2-point positioning. It's going to shoot a laser onto my, there you go, onto my project there, and I get to move it to where I want this to line up because it's not straight. So I can tell it to line up from any place. Say I want to line this up from something that's already above it. And I'm going to say I want my first positioning mark up there. But I know it's on a pocket, so yes, I want it down here. Next, where do you want your second position to line up? If I'm lining up edge to edge, I want it up here. But for the bunny, for the pocket, I want it over there. So I say next, and now my laser light is on. And all I have to do is move it onto the, I got it. When I got it, then I get to move this one, and I have to move it more because I hooped it crooked, right? And a little bit below is where I had it. Now I can go sew it, and I'll watch where my bunny goes when I set it. It's crooked. He's no longer straight because he's going to be exactly where I want him to be. So that's how easy it is to match up your edge to edge. Okay, no sew. I love this feature. I like creating things that are different that nobody else has done. I just love that option. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick a design that's already designed in here. I have to remember where it is. It drives me nuts. Every time I come up here, I forget. And there's no excuse for that. There it is. So I have this nice little design. It's a pretty little thing with a butterfly. I don't really like the butterfly. He kind of looks like he's checkerboard to me. So I'm going to set it, and I'm going to take the butterfly out of the design. So if I open up Edit, I have a new icon here that stitches with a red line through it. Okay, that's what I want to do. And it brings me up all of my color choices. And I'm going to go ahead and find the butterfly. There happens to be some pinks here, and I'm going to say, don't sew that. It just went away. Another part of the butterfly. Another part of the butterfly. All gone. Okay, now what do you want to do with it? I want to add a different look. So I'm going to say, okay, add. And it is in this one. I want to add a bouquet of flowers. But it has a border on it. I don't want the border in this case. So I set it, open up Edit. Where was that icon that I want to take something out? Remember? Yep, all the way down there. Stitches with, exactly. So I'm going to find that yellow, and I can find it. I go here, and it'll show me what is in that color. Well, that's not it. There's a yellow. That's not it. Let's see. Got to be another yellow. There it is. So I don't want to stitch that. Goodbye. And now I have this bouquet of flowers with a pretty swirly thing under it. Swirling, not swirly. But I want to size this up a little bit. Congratulations. Yep. What did I forget to do? I forgot to tell it to change my stitch count. So my flowers need to be bigger. So let's go bigger. And let's rotate it. And I can see the look here. Now I'm going to duplicate it. So I've got another set of flowers here, but I want them to look different, so I'm going to mirror image them. And then I might do a little bit different. You know what? It's kind of crowded in there. I think I need to rotate the whole thing. So let's rotate that 90. Yes, it says I can't do it because the red box was outside of the thing. So I just move it into place. Now I want to do this one 90, and I want to do the other flower 90. I think that's the other flower. Hello. There we go. All right. Let's see what I got here. So I got this guy. This one needs to go. I did it 90, but I did it 90 the wrong way. And then I would bring in a third one in the middle and make it a little bigger. And all of a sudden I have this completely different design. And I can see it as I'm creating it, which is just too much fun. I have a couple samples here. Okay, this is it. First, the top of it is the butterfly. The second one is taking the butterfly out. The third one is adding the bouquet of flowers. Isn't that fun? Here's another sample. This one started with the butterfly. Took the butterfly out and I put a bird in.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes?
But I got to show you up here.
Yes?
Okay. So this guy, this one. Now, we still have the little green guy here.
Yep.
So here, is it still under there?
Yep.
It's just overlapped, and we can't delete it because it shares a color.
Right. If I deleted that little guy, this little guy, it would delete these guys.
Okay. All right. I think I have it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So are you familiar what the snowman does at all? No. So the snowman is stickers that you get with your machine. And it's literally, I can say this because I'm short, the Japanese design. It's short. It's only 2 layers of a snowman. And it is read by the machine. So you take your work over to your work table, you find the center of where you want your design, and you put the snowman exactly where you want it. You hoop it, not centered or straight necessarily, and then you take a picture of it and send it to the machine. The machine finds that snowman and moves your design exactly on that axis. Exactly. No more like guessing. Is it going to be where I want it to be? Just make sure you put it where you want it to be in the first place and you're good to go. So here's a good example of a snowman. If I can. So I have this pretty fabric and I have all these eggs and I want to put each grandkid's name in an egg. But they're all different angles. So I just put a snowman where the center of that grandkid's name is going to go. And I send the picture over and it's right there. And you can reuse these stickers multiple times. And there's tons of them. So if you ever run out, you can get more of it. There's a lot of them. Okay. Some of the other things, you can do this in any machine, but here's a design that's built in. And it's built in as an applique, but I chose not to do an applique. I just did it on the shirt, and I did it for a boy. Because here it is in the machine as it's supposed to be, according to them. Obviously, that would be a girl. That's easy enough to do. But if you want to see it visually before you stitch it, you simply go to your color palette here and you change the color. So the first few are applique stitches. I just stitch those, or I could do the no-sew. And then I'm going to move up colors. And here's this pink, and I want to change it to a blue. So I can, I can actually see it. And I change some of the others to other boy-looking colors. Okay, so that's a really nice thing that you can do with anything that you bring over. Told you I'd find the picture. Here it is. This is a design built in that I made it look like a glass jar by doing a piece of vinyl over it when I was done. and then I made it into a little zipper bag. So that's all. I mean, you could do that with anything. It is an applique built in. Yep. I love it when you're going, oh. All right, here's another new feature that's amazing. Oh. Barbara, could you hand me that bag? I'm sorry. Thank you so much. This is called Matrix. Even the top of the line does not have this feature. So you got it. Let me show you what it is. I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab a design. I used this one. And I'm going to set it. Now I know a little bit about this, so I already know I want to size it so I can fit two next to each other. So I'm going to size this one, change the stitch count, and I need to make it more like 4 inches. Okay, good enough. And then I'm going to do the matrix. So here's the matrix button. Under this 9 patch, it appears again. So I go into the 9 patch and it automatically populates this design to fill my whole hoop. Okay, you can make it not so close together like that, and you can spread it apart this way. And so what I did is I brought this in, and then I brought another pattern in that I mirror imaged, so they weren't exactly the same. And then I just stitched on fabric, plain old, well, not plain old, pretty fabric. There it is. And I stitched away, and then I cut pieces out to make my bag. So you can make your own embroidered fabric for whatever you want to do by just pressing a button saying, okay, create this for me, which is wonderful. All right, couching. Couching is a new thing on the XJ2, and it's right here under C for couching. It's a whole category. Under that subcategories, you have designs you can stitch. So here is an example of the leaf, and that you do this with yarn or thick decorative thread that doesn't fit through a needle. Okay, and there's a video in the machine showing you how to do it all. You could do this butterfly, and you can do the lettering. So I want to pass this around so you can see how it stitches and realize that you can put this on a jacket and it's not going to pull out on you at all. Okay, I don't know if this is going to make it. All right. Here's another example. Yeah, I like butterflies. Just variegated yarn. On this example, I also did roses on the front, built-in design, but you see the lines and around the collar, that was done in the sewing side of this machine. So you can couch your own pattern or design, or you can do ones that are built in. Okay? It gives you so much texture and fun. And you know, you could do letters on grandkids. Yeah. That's on a, it's a corduroy, thick corduroy vest. Yep.
Is it on the XP3?
On the XE2, XP2, XP3, yes. And that's the point. They brought some of the XP3 things down to this, which is nice. So here's that example I showed you of 20% bigger or 20% smaller, but look at how many stitches it changed. That's a 40% difference in size. Must press the magic button. Press the magic button. Now you can do this.
Same, XP3.
Yep, but it re-digitized all the stitches for you. Yep. Doesn't make it. If you don't do it, then the small one is much really dense, and the big one is a little looser. But this is totally re-digitized and done perfectly. So you can do that from any design from anywhere. If you pick a design that's poorly digitized to start with, you just get a different size of poorly digitized. Got that? If you want to resize a zipper bag, you'll have a problem because the lines to tack the zipper down are a specific place. And if you size this bigger, they're not going to hold They're not going to go on the zipper. So you just got to, think about what you're resizing. Okay. Now, my favorite thing, but let's see what else I should have said to you before I go here. Couching matrix. Oh, auto flip down. Your machine ships to you with some things in your settings pages. Here's your setting pages up here. Like millimeters. It'll read everything in millimeters. I don't know about you, but I don't do millimeters. So we're going to go to, let me find what page it's on. I think it's 7. You can change all of these things. Usually it defaults to everything just fine where you want it. You can change your frame size so you can see that. Your thread color or brand, you can change that. Maximum speed, I stitch everything at full speed. You can. You're not going to have a problem. As long as you stabilize it right and you have good thread, there's no reason not to. Okay? Just if you're one of those that's just really, really careful, just bump it up a little, see how it goes. Bump it up a little. You'll be surprised how much time you can save. Okay, embroidery foot height, that's not what I'm looking for. Here it is, page 8. I've already changed this machine because I can't do it. Just change it to inches, and once you do that, it's always there. Okay, I got to wrap this up quick. Embroidery foot automatically down. It ships with it up. You must tell it to turn it to, so when you press the go button, it's ready to go. And the same thing happens in sewing. So change those in your settings screen and you'll be happy. Okay, so now I have some favorite quilts that I can show you, but I'm going to do it down there so they can reset this up here. How's that? Thank you, John. I'm not leaving yet. Wait. Okay. So the custom quilting that I
Like, I'm a wizard. He's like Harry Potter. You're like, I'm a wizard, Harry. I'm live. Oh, hello there.
Are you here or are you out of state?
I am everywhere. I'm a wizard. I'm just kidding. No, I don't actually. Technically, I'm not in any of the stores. I work in our main office. I am our marketing director. I think is my official title, but it's a family-owned and operated business since 1976. So we do everything.
Are you in Texas or?
I am officially in Louisiana, but I travel all around. Yeah, they told me to get in the car, and I'm like, all right. These guys seem nice. I'll get in with them. So, hello, my name is Courtney Douthat. I am a ScanNCut nerd, and the first step is admitting it, and I love to admit it. And also, if you are not over here with the Allbrands area and you are walking around, definitely run over here and come hang out with us. We will be going over the Brothers ScanNCut, and we'll be having more fun than anybody in the room. Right, guys? Woo! All right, I paid them to do that. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So a lot of times I'll get a question of Courtney, what is the difference between a Cricut and a Silhouette and a ScanNCut? And it is very similar to those, but on steroids. So a ScanNCut can cut up to a 3 millimeter thickness. So think like a puffy foam, then balsam wood, acrylic, things like that. She's the only cutter that can go up to that thickness. They get close, bless their heart, but not quite there. So she can, you're like, oh no, bless their heart. I am from the South, so I like to say that, and you know what that means. Bless their hearts. All righty. So the ScanNCut can cut out a number of things. Think cardstock. We can go very intricate with it. We can also do things like vinyl, so heat transfer vinyl and pressure sensitive vinyl, which are probably some of my favorite things to cut out along with fabric, because we do what's called a half cut. Oh, which one do you have in your cup? There you go. So we have a half cut setting. She is an auto blade, so she will automatically detect how thick the material is and only cut that material, which is amazing. So you don't have to tell her what you're cutting or anything like that. She'll be able to detect how thick and not cut through your mats. Previous models, you had to set the blade setting, set your pressure setting. It was a nightmare. I didn't like doing it. Auto blade completely took that away. So now we can tell it to do a half cut and only cut through half of our vinyl, since vinyl is 2 parts. So say we had this design here. Well, what if it was a name? What if it was my son Alex? For each letter, I don't want to have to move it to my shirt. So if this clear part can stay on, that can transfer it over for me. And then when you heat it up, that clear part comes off and your design stays there. So being able to detect when that part ends and when that starts is super helpful for doing vinyl. Now, I am at Quilt Festival, so of course I have to talk about quilting. She has 140 built-in quilt blocks alone in the machine. She has 1,163 designs. Yes, did I practice that number multiple times? So 140 built-in quilt blocks. So I'm actually going to show you some because I am a visual person and like seeing things. She is a standalone machine, so everything is built in. However, they do give you Brother Canvas, which is the free software that the ScanNCut uses. I love the word free. That is my favorite word. So I appreciate that we do not have to pay. What did someone tell me? $20 a month for one of the other ones? And I lost my mind a little bit. I'm like, $20. You paid for the machine. Why are they asking you to pay for the software? That doesn't make sense. So if we hit patterns, we have a ton of different designs in there. But if we scroll down to here, there's our quilt blocks. So I'm actually going to open them up. Now, the great thing is you can tell it exactly what you want that finished block size to be. So if I'm custom making my quilt, I can actually measure out the area that I have to use and be able to select whatever finish size that I want. Oh, he's so fast with camera angles. Good job, sir. All right. Yes, ma'am. That includes the allowance. Yes, ma'am. So you would just think of it a quarter less, unless you want to do a larger one, but usually a quarter is kind of the uniform one of it all. Alrighty, so when we select that one, it's going to give me all of my pieces. If I actually select them, it will show me where it is on the block. That way I can color sort my colors in my head a little bit better. Again, I'm a visual person, so I appreciate things like that. So I'm going to select these 2 right here. It tells me, hey, since you told me you wanted your finished block to be this certain size, this is the size of this particular piece, and you're going to need 2 of them to do that block. Now, a lot of times when I'm quilting, I like to take the 12 by 24 mats. Of course, there are 12 by 12s. But I take a 12 by 24 and I fill the whole mat up with my squares and my block pieces. And I'll put different fabric on there And that way I can just cut it all out at once. It's a sticky mat. I bring it over to my sewing machine and take off the pieces that I want. I lose way less pieces that way because they'd slip under the table. They'd go somewhere. One of the kids is like, what's this? Now I'm losing them less. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to my mat. Now you can see there is a black line on the outside. Internally, there is a blue line. One of them, your outside black line, is your cut line. The inner one is your draw line because she can also draw. She comes with your drawing tool as well as an air soluble and a water soluble pen. So let's go ahead. Telling you about it is a lot of fun, but showing you, I've heard, is a lot more fun. So let's do that. Let's see. Here we go. Alrighty, I love using pieces of fabric that have already been cut out because I am frugal, but also if this was a cord or a leather, that gets expensive, and I like being able to use my fabric completely up and before I, go ahead and toss it. So I'm going to stick this on my sticky mat. I stuck it upside down, but that's fine because she is a scan and cut, so I could actually scan in my mat, show what's on my mat, and drag and drop my pieces. So I really could use every little bit of it. So there's my mat. My gingerbread man is upside down. There we go. We're going to go ahead and load her in. There she is. And I'm going to go ahead and select this tool right here to be able to scan her in. So you're going to come see her. She's going to come say hi. Everyone say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. She decided y'all are nice, but she's going to go home. She's coming back. Welcome back, honey. There you go. All right, now it's going to go ahead and turn it onto my screen and show me exactly where I have available. And now when I click my design, it puts a red box around it so I can see it a little bit better, and I can actually drag and drop her wherever I want. Now, the beautiful thing about the ScanNCut, you have additional editing. Object edit. You can make her larger, smaller, add additional ones, rotate her, which is what I'm actually going to do, 90 degrees, 10 degrees, or one little degree at a time. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do, that looks fun. We're going to do that one. Hit OK. Alrighty, and you of course could add seam allowance. So she already has seam allowance, but say I scanned in a design, I could scan anything under the sun. Just print it out, scan it in, and you could add seam allowance to it. You could make it into a draw file, a cut file. You cut it out of fabric, paper, vinyl, whatever you want. When I tell you I have not bought a design in so long, we're ScanNCut. We're dangerous, okay? We can bring anything in. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to get my drawing tool. It's really hard. John, I'm going to put it up here so you can see. It's really hard to do. Are you ready? This is the trick. There's a button right here. You're going to click it. That's how you open it. All righty, so I'm going to go ahead. And you like that one? I'm going to take my water-soluble pen, open it up, drop it in there, close it, and she's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put her into my holder. On the back of your holders and your cutters, there are lines, and that is what the ScanNCut is actually reading. So if I told her to cut while my draw tool was in there, she'd go, whoa, hold on, and vice versa. So that way she takes some of that user error me out of it. All right, I'm going to drop her on in there. Did I not close that properly? There we go. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. OK again. Please select, and what do I want to do? I want to draw. We're going to go ahead and hit start. And she's going to go ahead and draw my seam allowance for me. Some people ask me, Courtney, should I draw before I cut or should I cut before I draw? It's personal preference. I feel like the cutting is going to be more intense than the drawing would. Oh, you're done? All righty. And pull that out. So I personally like to draw before I cut, but the machine will do it up either way. It's personal preference. Alrighty, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take actually my rotary blade. This is Brother's new blade. She is, not that you're supposed to have favorites, but let's see, there she goes. She looks like an actual little rotary cutter. The thing with these is they come around to cut. She will actually hop because she's thinking, okay, where can I get that best cut without shifting the fabric? Because we know when shifting fabric happens, we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop her in there, lock her in, hit finish. Please select, but this time I'm going to tell her to cut. And we're going to go ahead. There is a thing called a test cut on there. I don't ever use it. Honestly, I believe in my auto blade. I know she's going to do a good job. Previous models, I would have test cut. Now I don't really do it. Now, while she's cutting out, I do love to talk about my
probably one of my favorite things, which is the fact that she is wireless. You can send a wireless design. So say that we had any brother wireless machines and we wanted to do an applique, I can actually send from my machine straight to my ScanNCut, that exact PES design. And she'll automatically turn it into a cut file for me, so that way I could cut out my appliques. You can, of course, do it wirelessly from your computer or through a USB, whatever you prefer. It does not have to be a special USB. I stole this one from him. Alrighty, so she is done. Look at him. Oh, I love when he does that, because then, ta-da! There's no fooling it because we are live. She's cut out my piece for me. She's done a great job. She's drawn my seam allowance, so I have any kind of hope of sewing a straight line. So that part, that's on me. That's not on her. So I'm going to go ahead. I should be good and take my spatula tool, wiggle it off, but I am impatient. There she goes. She's done a pretty good job. So like I said, usually what I do is I just fill the whole page with different fabrics, and I'll use the 12 by 20 format, and I'll just cut out every single piece of it. Now, I have talked about how she will convert a design. Would you like to see it? All right. Yes, please, dear good woman. All right, so we're going to take our USB. We're going to put it through our USB port right here. We're going to go home, no place like home. Retrieve data from our USB. If you notice down here, it's at PES. I'm going to go ahead and grab that girl. Now, if your design comes with the cut file already, because some designers are doing that lately, then if you hit the shield, that design will come up. But if it didn't, and we're making it from thin air, we're going to hit the flower. Alrighty. If I wanted to change the size, I could. I always recommend going at least one up, because she's taking it right from that stitch outline. And not that I'm not great with placing my applique where it should go, but not that I'm not good about placing my applique where she should go. So give yourself that little bit of insurance and go ahead and just bump it up one size. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, she gives me every little bit of that design, my little gingerbread man. But if I wanted to make it a vinyl design, I could. And then that way she gives me the eyes, the buttons, and everything like that. If I just want to take the outside of my design from my applique, I would select this middle one. And if I want the stitches, then I could select that last one. But I don't know what you're going to do with the stitches in the ScanNCut. But they give you that option if you want it, because she doesn't know what it is. She's just breaking it down into all the parts for us. So I want the outside of that. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, set. And now it's going to place it on my mat. So that way I can cut out my gingerbread man. And then when I'm ready to stitch him out, I can go ahead and stitch him out if I want to. If you look at this gingerbread man right now, he's very cute. However, I did not think about it when I set that design, and he has a shiny unibrow. We still love him through it, okay? And then, of course, our in we did earlier there is also there, and it's done a great, great job. So I always like to leave a little time at the end to show, I'm taking more time? Oh, sweet. All right, so let's talk about fussy cutting. So if I had a fabric on my mat, so we have these mustaches right here, I could actually tell it to pinpoint and actually cut out those exact mustaches. That way I could individually fussy cut, and then I can put them on my gingerbread man.
That's my dad.
Well, who's your dad?
That's my dad.
Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. That's great. So then we can fussy cut if we want to. She's like, I'm taking pictures of dad. Dad, you were at festival. You didn't even know. So we can end up fussy cutting. I like to fussy cut personally because I'll take a border fabric or a panel fabric and I'll go fussy cut. I just did one with woodland characters. I fussy cut them out and then I make them into appliques all over my quilt. It's very, very cute. Or if I like something, a fabric, and I want to make it into a personal applique on a t-shirt or something, I could do that as well. So I love being able to really pinpoint what I want to do. So I always like to leave some time, again, for don't put paper on your fabric mat, Courtney. I would love to leave some time to show you some fun things. So I do a show called Allbrands After Hours, and we do a lot of really cool projects on that show. This one right here, we actually brought in a design I saw online. I printed it out, brought it into my ScanNCut, and there is a video. She's like, I'm taking a picture. So this gingerbread right here did not, I'm sorry, candy cane, thank goodness. It's been a long day, guys. Candy cane did not exist. I actually took this one, shrunk it down, flipped it, put it there. That candy became this guy. This guy moved down. That star became that. And believe it or not, I had to add my family name to it because Douthat is not a common name, I found out. It's not. Let's blame that guy. And of course, why we're wearing the ears today is Brother is exclusive with Disney. No other machine has it. So of course we had to add a hidden Mickey. So there is a video on our channel with this guy on there, as well as we did learning how to make a stencil to make your own rug. Custom. I know I need to start making things that are lighter. I've been traveling with these. I thought I had my wood burning things with me, and I didn't. So there are tons of videos on there. Every Saturday at 6, we come out with additional videos to do them on different projects that are project-based, because that's how I learn is projects. But we do a lot of tips and tricks and stuff. So speaking of tips and tricks, do we have any questions? Questions? Yes, ma'am. Usually at home, if it's just a project for me and it's not going to be an applique, I don't pre-treat. When we travel, we do a Terreal Magic, because when we're traveling and putting things in, if you're not familiar with Terreal Magic, it's like a starch that you can spray on there, but when you wash it, it all comes out. And that way your fabric goes back to normal. But if you're going to do an applique, well, usually you're treating the back of it with a heat and bond light, a Wonder Under, a hot fix, something like that. So yes, I always say pre-treat it before you cut it out. Just put fabric side down on your fabric mat, paper side up. I know some people tell you to do the opposite way and put on your low tech mat. I'm more worried about that fabric than I am about whatever I treated it with. And sometimes I'm not worried about making sure I ironed it down on there real well. So again, I'm more worried about my fabric than I am about the paper sheet. So I do fabric side down on a fabric mat, but it's a totally personal preference. Any other questions? Questions.
You're live.
I'm live right now. Yeah, that's why I've had to behave. This is me behaving. It's a hoot. Yeah. She's like, oh gosh.
You're doing well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So again, my name's Courtney Douthat. I do a show on our YouTube channel, which is called Allbrands After Hours. Again, it's a ton of tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff. It saves it on our YouTube channel, so you can always go back to reference it. And the reason that we call it Allbrands After Hours is because if I say something the owner of Allbrands does not like, well, sir, you can't get mad at me. It was after hours. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night. I will be over there with the ScanNCut area, as well as the new Brother fabric printer, PrintModa. Definitely come out and say hi. Thank you. I got my
everyone. Welcome back. My name is Alexis. I am a brother educator, and we are going to be demoing the 10 needle Brother PR 1055X. Has anyone seen this before? Anyone familiar with it? You have, very good. So throughout the show, I've done a lot of demos on my design center and then also on the camera feature, and we've discussed some accessories. Well, today I want to really focus on the cap driver because it can go on any one of your PR machines. So what we'll do, we will set up a design similar to this one, actually just like this one, in my design center, and we'll stitch it out. And if we have time, I will also add a name to it using the camera. So we'll cover a lot of features in a short period of time. Hold on tight. But first, what I want to show you, just randomly, for no good reason, I stitched on some ears. Y'all see that? Okay, so I stitched on the ears. It is. So how did I get it perfectly centered? I used the camera. I can't take all the credit. I used the camera. I slowed the machine down, and I was able to stitch on the side. The best part is I'm taking my daughter to Disney for Christmas. Well, it's the wrong year, so I'll have to do another pair when I get home. But we're going to stitch some ears. So you can do, so that just lets you know. I mean, look, it's not just flat. You don't have to just use flat things as long as it can fit under your hoop. That's true. If you've heard that saying, if it fits under the hoop, you can stitch it. You can. That is true. I'm afraid to move. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I left my table on because I want to tell you how important it is to remove your table before you do your cap driver, mainly because you just won't even get it on with the table there. So remove your table and remove your A-arm. So this is going to be your A-arm. The way you remove it, it's just with the screws here. And they come off very easily. Take this, set it to the side. Grab your cap driver. Cap driver. This is what it's going to look like. All right, you're going to place it on the machine with the driver side out, the flattest part going towards the machine. It has large screws on the bottom. Rule of thumb, we leave the large screws in place and you remove the smaller ones to add a new hoop. So we're going to slide it on. There is a little lip that you want to get under and line up your knobs. As soon as you do that, there's going to be area. There's going to be an area to the center of the knob. That's where you screw in both of your screws, and they just need to be finger tight. And then I usually lift from the bottom here. You see, this is still a little wiggly. I lift up a little bit, and then that's when I screw in the bottom, the larger screws. And at the same time as me lifting, I'm pushing back to make sure it's going to get flush up against the machine. So let's talk about the cap on the driver. On the hooping station. So I'm going to take this one off. Start with a new one. Take your stabilizer. There's going to be a lip. So right up underneath that lip, tuck it in as far as you can. I typically use tearaway. This is a cutaway. It's what we have at the show, so we're just going to make believe that it's tearaway. And then you're going to press it down and pierce it. Get like a little piercing. The paper one will do. The cutaway will do it. This one is just kind of making an indentation. Grab your hat. Remove your sweat guard from underneath, tucked in. Remove any paper that is not stabilizer. Usually there's cardboard. Do not stitch through that. It is not going to be in your best interest. Pull this out. I usually just hold my fingers on it and then I bend my hat brim in just a little bit. Grab the plastic attachment. On here, you're going to notice that there is a notch. Typically, the notch matches up with the center of your hat. Okay. Let it set right down on top. So I slide it right over the top of it where the notch will match up. And then hold one hand, bring the side of the sweat guard out and around the metal knob on the side, and you'll do that on both sides. Bring it out and around. And then make sure we're still in place centered. And if you're not, I'll show you how to straighten that up. So I'm not as centered as I could be, but I'm going to straighten it up when we get to the hooping station. On here, there's going to be a knob. You want to make sure it's turned to lock. It clicks. You can't see it, but it has a picture of a lock. That's locked. Unlocked, obviously, is unlocked. So you can visually see it. I'm just used to knowing which way it is. One thing you don't want to do, you don't want to stretch this out. It's plastic. It will break. So we're going to come in at an angle, and if you need to, you can even take loose the Velcro on the back of your cap. Some caps don't allow for it, so whichever way you can do. Now, notice I went straight in, but I kind of angled it back so that I can see what I'm doing. It's a ratcheting system, so you'll hear it ratchet down if you get it on both sides evenly. And I usually like to ratchet it on one side just a little bit and then take my hat and I can straighten it if needed. Then I take my thumbs and I press down. And you'll hear that little ratcheting sound. Next, you'll get bent clips in your box with your cap driver, and you want to use this silver area. It's like a little knob on the back, like a little sticky out part. And you're going to stick that on there. That'll hold it. Same thing with the other side. All right. You just want to make sure it's smooth. The way you take it off of the driver, you put your thumb right up against a screw, and I use my other fingers as counter pressure. Pull it straight back. There are roller balls on here that match up with openings. The same roller balls are on your machine. There's also an opening in the notch right here on your driver on the machine. Is going to have that same exact opening that you're going to match up to put it on. It's not possible to put it straight on, so we're going to have to turn it either direction. I don't care, just turn it. Once you get it and clear all of your needles, then you match up those two notches in the roller balls. And then you apply pressure. I don't push it up against the machine. I just kind of bring the machine to it, because if you push it up against the machine, it can move the arm, it'll reset it. So I just bring it to it by holding the back of the cap driver. All right, so now we're hooped. We can leave this alone for a moment. Let's go to the screen. So we're going to design it in my design center. So we simply open my design center, go to our shapes. I chose this one earlier just because it looked nice and symmetric. Touch OK. Now we need to resize that, because on the screen, and let's clear it. Let's go back. I don't know if you can see, but on the screen, there's a rectangle. That's kind of our cheat sheet. That's going to tell us what size the machine is going to recognize in order to stitch on your hat, because that's the driver that we have on the machine. Now we're going to go touch the shapes. Choose the shape that we want. Touch OK. Now you're going to resize it, and that's going to be your proportional resize all the way down. And I don't really have I think I wrote it down somewhere. I don't see my paper where I wrote it on. So I'm going to just use that little area. I know it can't be much larger than 2 inches, but I'm going to use this little area that tells me how much I'm allotted for a cap frame or a cap stitch out. I'm going to get it below that. Also, there's a preview screen at the top, so you can see what you're doing. Let's go down a little more. That's about good. Touch OK. Now I want to fill it in, because on the sample one that I did, for some reason all week I've been using designs that are hard to see, but there you go. You can see a little bit. And I use, sure. All right. Now I want to fill in that area. So I'm going to touch my regional properties, select a fill. I usually have a favorite. I don't remember which one I used. Okay. So So let's do this one, number 34. We're gonna touch okay. We're gonna use our bucket. Our bucket is like we're filling the bucket. We're gonna fill it in. We're gonna toss it all in there. So touch the bucket and fill it in. So it is filled into that area that we want to stitch. Anywhere we touch, it will fill it in. FYI. There is a back button. So if you make a mistake, just touch the back button. We're gonna go to next. We can change anything with the density. We can change anything with the directions of it. We can make it 50% smaller. The highest we can do is 200% zoomed in. So that gives you a bunch of different options for fields. So we're going to touch set. And we are technically now ready to stitch. But I want to make sure that my hooping was correct. So I'm going to scan it in with my camera. After I go to edit end, it's going to tell me my machine will move. All right, so this is a live camera. See my hands underneath there? It's in real time. All right, if you make any movements, once it's to the furthest spot that it'll go, it'll make like a double knocking sound. So that let me know that's the furthest down that it will go. I didn't explain the hoop very well at the beginning, but this one is redesigned and it's great for flat brim caps, more structured caps like Richardson caps or anything with that thicker buckram that you may have trouble hooping on some of the other hoops. This one makes it a ease, okay? So I like to, let's wait, before I do that, let me drop my light. It's like a little crosshair here, and then it's gonna tell me where I'm at. The little crosshair is probably a little too far to the left, so let's move it over to the right. Yeah. Went too far. It's real-time movement.
How did you get the crosshair? Is it automatically?
So you see the button at the top here? There's a little needle with the crosshair coming down to it. That's what it is. So it's going to show up on your screen, not on here. A lot of people ask, does this one have the dot or the crosshair? No, we have the camera, and on the camera screen is where you can see it. So once it looks good, I mean, I'm one of those that's like, let's go one more. Like, I pushed the envelope. Okay, so now we're in place. You can turn your camera off, and now we're ready to stitch. Now, do I want to use number one? I don't want to use number one for that one, so I need to move some thread around. I don't want to manually move it around. It's going to take time. This is about being more efficient, right? So I can use my magic wand. I can either permanently move them for the sake of the stitch out, or I can use my wand, abracadabra, and move number one. I actually want that to be number 9. And then the second part of the stitch out, which is going to be the border, I want that to be number 1. So all I did was touch the spot, touch the number, touch the spot, touch the number. This will reset when you turn your machine off, okay? So keep that in mind. If you don't want it to reset, you're going to use your thread swap key. All right, I'm looking at it, lock it. Green means go. So this is proof. Everybody's like, okay, I'm nervous. I too am nervous when I'm pushing it for the first time. Like, did I do everything? Yes. Okay, it happens. It happens. I'm telling you. Let's speed it up a little bit. It defaults to 600 stitches per minute. Typically, we have 1,000 stitches per minute, but any of our specialty hoops defaults down to 600 stitches per minute. Trust me, you want to slow it down sometimes because on hats, when you're going over that middle seam, you don't want to build up too much friction. Did everyone get a chance to see the hat that we did the first time? And the stabilizer is, this is what it looks like on the inside with the stabilizer. When I use my tearaway, all I do is I get done, pull it right off. And this is just a 4-minute stitch out. Caps typically don't take that long. I think the longest cap that I've ever done on my machine at home was maybe 18 minutes, but it was very detailed. I wish I had a picture of it. It was for the local high schools. They have like a bash between all of them where it's like a basketball tournament. And he brought it to me, and it had all of the school mascots inside the word. And I just sent it to the digitizer. I was like, just make it a satin stitch behind it. I had no idea that I had picked the best digitizer ever because he was able to digitize all of the school mascots inside of it. So it was really good. And hats, when you're stitching the hats, make sure you have them digitized center out. That's going to be the best. Otherwise, so this one, it's not. So that's why when you pass it around, you saw like a little pucker on that side because it started and it went all the way around. And by the time it gets to that side, it'll pinch it together some. So that's why hats are best digitized center out. I think I got this one snug enough on the side to, oh, I didn't rethread that. I think I got it snug enough to the side that it's not going to pucker. But if in the event it does. It's not worst case scenario. And I'm not going to back up any of the stitches because it literally just started, so we're fine. I have a little saying, if you've ever followed me or anything, my saying is it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be pretty. And that's typically how my stitches come out. They're not perfect, but they're pretty.
On the outline, when did you tell it to be a zigzag?
So I didn't tell it not to. It defaults automatically to a satin zigzag stitch. I can go into the line properties and change it right there in my design center. And right here is where it starts to do a little, but it's just because it wasn't digitized center. But it's okay.
What do you mean it was a digitizer?
So when the digitizer, when they plot out the stitches, they'll start in the center and it'll stitch out. It'll stitch outward that way.
How do you set that?
On here, you don't. But when you're doing a hat stitch out and if you're digitizing or if you're sending it to a digitizer, I typically just say, please digitize in whatever size for a hat. If you tell them what you're going to be stitching it on, they typically know what to do. The question was, what's the average cost for a digitizer? It varies. I've gotten things digitized from as low as $5 all the way up to 30 something, 40 something. You know, it just depends. You can find a digitizer online, get a relationship with them. The more you send them, the better price you get. There are a lot of softwares out here. I know we have PE Design 11 that does beautiful digitizing. A lot of our machines do a lot of the digitizing for you. So you have a lot of options with it. All right, so we're done, but we have some more time left. What's a short name? Short name. Nobody knows anybody with a short name? Let's just use Alex. Too short. Let's just go with Alex then. All right, so we're done with it. Let's say we're at a show or, you have this already done and you're like, oh, we can put someone's name on it, but we already stitched it out. That's okay. We are going to, what are your initials?
SDB.
So I'm assuming this is now your hat. This is now your hat. Okay. All right, I am fine with that. Okay, so we're going to now add. Actually, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from a new one. Okay, because let's say we did the hat a couple days ago. Now we're back and we've decided a name to put on it. So we're going to use. Okay, tell me the initials again.
Yes.
S. This is the order that they'll be stitched.
Then B.
B. Let's go down in size.
And then D.
Then D. Okay. So if you notice, they automatically turn, they rotate it upside down. I learned this the first time that I ever did a hat. It automatically adjusts and it rotates itself. I rotated it back because I was like, why would it do that? I wore that hat, okay? And I did not walk around on my hands. I just wore. But have you all seen the hats nowadays with the different states, I mean, the different cities and the names upside down? That came from us making that little mistake. They copied us. All right. Now, I'm going to use my camera, scan the area, and now I'll know exactly where it's going to stitch. But I want to move it. Because remember, we adjusted the first one. And then I can go down some. So this takes the guesswork out of everything.
How would you make the bee bigger?
I would go into my size. So I would touch the whole design that I have. Oh, I would have gone up. Yes, I would have. Do I need to do that? Is that what you're saying?
We want to know.
You're bossy. We
No, we need this.
we're fine on time. We're fine on time. So when you have a customer that's a little picky, you do it. Okay. So let's go back and let's see, how do we get it? So we get out of the camera. And these, I mean, no, I'm picking at you, but these are all things. It's just fine. So we're going to go back to, so I'm just going to delete this all together and start over with the, so let's go to, so we're going to go S in the medium size, and then B, but I'm going to switch to the big B, and then D. Oh, now we're going to switch to the medium. Now, okay, I know you want them lined up. Good, because we can do that, but then I would have to bring them in individually and then put them on the line, the center line array. So that's how you would do that. For the sake of time, I'm glad you're okay with this. You're okay with this one, right? Okay, good. So set, edit in. What I found that if I don't find the buttons that I thought were supposed to be there, I touch edit in, and then it takes me to the next screen. So we're gonna use our camera, scan it again. We're gonna move over. It is too big, so let's get out of our camera. Edit, let's make the size smaller. So this is gonna proportionally take all of it down. Okay. Oh, wait, I may have found something. Oh, shoot, I may have messed something up. There's a back button, and it works. All right, let's try it now. Edit in. And I'm going to be honest with you all here and on YouTube. This is how I learned. Playing around with the machine, seeing what the buttons do, making mistakes, learning from mistakes. Don't be afraid. I'm telling you, it's very forgiving. Brother makes very forgiving machines. All right. All right. What color? These are our only options. Hint, hint. Number 4. You know me, pink would have been my option.
Pink, I thought it was red.
It's like a reddish pink, magenta-ish. Or there's a peach.
We'll do the red 3.
Number 3. Number 3. All right. Embroidery. Let's go to, we're going to switch it to 3. Okay. Lock. Did y'all see that hesitation again? You're going to have a colorful hat. Now, we also could have done that and had it all in so that it doesn't stitch on top of each other, but for the sake of time, we're playing around with the camera.
So you did the first design, and then did you add, or how did you do the second design?
So I did the first design and I cleared everything out as if it never happened. And then I brought another design in and I used my camera to line it up. Now I could have, there's just a ton of ways to do almost everything on the machine. I could have gone back out, added it in, and then used my no stitch feature. Okay, so that's something that's on the 1055. You can use your no stitch. That's in the same screen that your reserve stop button is on for your applique. And this only takes 3 minutes to stitch out. So imagine being, you know, if you take this and you're on location at a event, this was just a total of what, 6 minutes, I think, because the other one was about 3 minutes too. You can literally get these on and off. I advise if you're doing it for a business, purchase 2 of these cap drivers so that while one is stitching, I can have the next one queued up, ready to go, ready to go. That's what I do in my own home. I have 2. It pays for itself. This one, with the purchase of the machine, we're getting 25% off of everything. Get in here. And I'm going to turn my mic off because this is PE Design 11. I'd have to walk over there. So it is up on that display where we have some of our accessories. It's going to be right on the front here. Or the price for, yeah. Ooh, how beautiful. All right. So that was fun, y'all. Believe it or not, hats are my favorite thing to do. Hats and patches. All right, so these machines are a whiz. Like, it makes it super easy doing hats and patches. I could not imagine running my business without these machines because they are the entrepreneur, the professional model. Okay. We good on mic? Stitch so you can bring in a photograph, choose how many colors that you want, so it can be as intricate with detail to just kind of outline stitch. And it's 20% off at the show.
That's the cheapest I've ever seen.
You want to pass around to look at it more?
I got it.
You got to start using it. You gotta start using it. I do believe Cindy does a lot of tutorials with it on her channel, so be sure to follow her. Oh yes, I didn't finish with that. And we would just cut the stabilizer out. All right. So that's all that I have to show on this one. What are we on time? We're like right on time. That just lets you know it's a fast process. Like, hats are going to be your easiest go-to. There's a very good profit margin with them. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Everybody on YouTube, enjoy the rest of your day.